Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Meme Team here, and I'm back for my fourth ranking video. Although if you're just coming across the channel, this is your first ranking video. Today, I already did a top 10 JoJo characters video, and you can check it. It's in this playlist as well. But I feel like to rank every part now that I've been caught up with JoJo Part 8 for a few chapters now, like waiting for the new one to come out. And we have a JoJo anime event coming on April 4th. This is going to release the day after that, but it's currently being recorded on March 27th, which is the Saturday, 2 Saturdays before the event. So, one Saturday before I guess 2, because it's on Sunday. Either way, I'm getting off track. I thought I'd rank my favorite JoJo parts, so we're going to go from worst to best. Although, take an account here, my worst one is still like a 7.5 out of 10. I love every JoJo part. There's not a part I dislike, and your part is, it's very reasonable that your part's going to be completely different than mine, because every part has a different like genre or kind of niche that it tackles, which is what's great about JoJo. And this doesn't correlate with my favorite JoJo's, JoJo's, or whatever. The parts are actually typically separate for me, which is very uncommon. Like my favorite part is not going to have my favorite JoJo, so I might do a favorite JoJo list some other time. But yeah, let's just get into it. Part 1 to 8, we're gonna rank them in order from worst to best. Let's go. Number 8, so coming in last place, unfortunately, is Part 1 Phantom Blood. This is really sad to say because Part 1, I get like nostalgic watching it. It's only 9 episodes, it's not like it wastes your time. And I do think that Dio is not the worst villain in the entire series. If I was to make a list for it, which I could still, I think like AC/DC from the Pillar Man is worse, like without a doubt. Like there's worse villains than Part 1 Dio. I don't like Diablo as much as Part 1 Dio. So Part 1 Dio does a really great job, but the fact that Part 1 is so short and it's using Hamon, which unfortunately, if you have read Part 7 and 8, or even just went as far enough to see Part 2, you'll realize Hamon is used really poorly there. Not only is it used better in Part 2, the new system in the new universe in Part 7 and in Part 8, the new spin is just fundamentally a better system. So looking back on it, well, it's a very simple story, and I love Jonathan Joestar. His supporting character, Zappelli, isn't that good. Definitely the weakest in the series. And by the time he goes, you just got to know him and he's gone. While it may still affect some people, it's not that amazing. I think the high points for this part are definitely episode 3 and 9 if you're watching the anime, or it's the Jonathan Dio fight in the mansion in the manga, and then just the final chapters in the manga. Not much to say here. It laid the foundation. Jonathan Joestar is honestly like really good to watch and lays what is needed for what's expected from every other Joestar in the future. But honestly, there's not much going on here. Hamon's just an ability Araki made that can do anything he wants it to do when he needs it to do something. Definitely not stand potential. Like the worst stand part is still miles above this, just because stands are just a whole other tier of fighting, and Hamon can't really compete. And honestly, sometimes it can be a little boring to rewatch, but I still love this part. I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. So last place is Phantom Blood. Number 7, this one might anger some people, and I love this part, but Stone Ocean is coming in second last place for me. There's a few problems with Stone Ocean. I don't want people to get upset because it's probably releasing after. Hopefully they do a Stone Ocean announcement. Like, I'm pumped for it. Like, every day I'm waiting for Stone Ocean. But as the manga that I've read, maybe the anime will be better, but as the manga I read, it has one of the slowest starts, and while they're in the prison's one of the most boring set pieces they've had throughout parts 1 to 8. While they're in the prison, there's a few fights that are good, like the debt collector and all that. It really depends on the cast carrying the story, because the prison just seems samey in every fight. It's hard to care a little too much. What I do like is Pucci does show up a lot more. He's actually one of the most constant main villains. You constantly see him doing stuff behind the scenes. Jolene is a great main character. The big problem is, obviously, hopefully you guys know the spoilers here, Jotaro shows up at the beginning, but then they quickly rip him away from you, and he's gone for 95% for the rest of the story, until like the very end. So it kind of makes you go, oh look, here's a character I love, and he's just instantly gone, and he kind of gets put in the Holly situation. So it is a nice reverse. Rather than that, yeah, I don't know much else to say. It's It's a really good part. Like, it's way above part 1. I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. The first half's a little boring. I actually really love the ending. It's probably my second favorite ending manga-wise. Might be my first favorite anime ending once it's animated. Currently, that goes to Stardust Crusaders. I love the last half with like the 3 Dio sons and the final fight. It's just the first half drags it down. So second last place is Stone Ocean. Coming in at 6th place or 3rd last place is Stardust Crusaders. The reason why this is so low is because there's a lot of nothing going on in the middle. Although I enjoy the fights, a lot of people don't, and I get it. It's very simplistic. It is my favorite cast of characters throughout like any part. Like Kakyon, Abdul, Jotaro, Joseph, Iggy. They're all. I'm not missing someone here. Am I pulling her off? This is my favorite cast. They're so funny, and you get to really know them throughout all the battles they go through. Although the negatives are really heavy, which is there's nothing going on in the middle. You get plot at the beginning, and you get one of the best ending sequences of episodes or chapters. It's like 30 chapters that slap in a row in the manga. And the last like 9 episodes in the show that are just go crazy. Dio is one of my favorite villains. The most menacing build up to his stand. I think it beats Diavolo's build up to his stand. Because you're really questioning like what his ability is when he's just easily walking through the cast. But yeah, it's an amazing part. Just the middle of it brings it down. There's nothing more to say. Especially in the anime, they really drag out fights. Like the sun fights, like a whole episode when it's only like 2 chapters in the manga. You can get through a chapter really quickly. It's like 2 minutes if you read fast enough in the manga. Or if you appreciate the artwork like I do, it can take like 4 to 5. I like to sit and look at stuff. But anyway, getting off track. Just gets weighed down by the dragging in the middle. But overall, if it didn't have that dragging in the middle, this would be a lot higher. But because of the middle, even the manga and anime, you do feel it. So it's going to come in 3rd last place. Number 5 is Diamond is Unbreakable. Overall, I typically like Stardust Crusaders more, which I did place at number 6. But today I am just feeling Diamond is Unbreakable a little bit more. Like, these are very interchangeable for me. They're not like way above each other. I know people have part 4 way, way higher. For me, I'm going to go with the negatives first. Part 4 for me, manga-wise, the pacing and the order of the chapters in the manga is very off. Like, this is the one part where the anime is just flat out better than the manga. The manga doesn't look at many of the early chapters because Araki's changing his art design. And then there's just like the 6 stand users in the manga and the anime. The 6 stand users at the end that the Akira's father is, stabbing with the arrow. They really feel like the middle of part 3 filler. Like it gets the part 3 treatment, but near the end, which honestly I think is the worst place to put it. Where it's stand user after stand user, besides the alien guy, where you just don't care. It's like some fights are good, but you really just don't care. You want to get back to the Kira thing. I feel like the first half is really good. Once Kira changes identity, the story slows down to like a snail's pace, and then it doesn't pick up again until Kira gets his new ability. Like the whole Stray Cat stuff is fine, but it's not incredible. I love the cast. I love Josuke and Joseph all in there. Jotaro is my favorite Jotaro in part 4. Like that's the most mature and honestly the most badass Jotaro. When it comes down to it, the lack of villain in the first bit, and then just like the 6 stand users that mean nothing to the plot at the end, that feels like it's really stretching it, really brings it down. So yeah, for me, this just comes in at number 5. Number 4 for me is the last part that does not contain any stands whatsoever, so it's actually pretty remarkable how high this gets. It's part 2, Battle Tendency. I think this is definitely so high because Joseph is my personal favorite JoJo. He's very exciting from beginning to end. Like, you are constantly entertained when he's on screen. The 3 Pillar Men act as great villains. Wambu is the best in my opinion, even above Cars. It gives you that sense of bizarreness without the need of stands. Like usually in the later parts, you get the bizarreness because of the stand abilities. Like this has it without stand abilities, which is remarkable. Caesar's also an amazing sidekick. Lisa is pretty good as well. But honestly, this part is just carried by Joseph. Joseph is the reason why it's so high. People love this part. It has one of the best openings. It's just an improved part 1. This is, I feel like, what Phantom Blood wanted to be. And Araki truly had to like sit down and think of a story before going in, because it wasn't like part 3 where he could just do stand user of the week to, get himself some more time to think of what's coming up next. He had to sit down beforehand and go, what's the story going to be? And you can get that. It's like a true sense of a story, which you don't get much. You don't get a lot of in a lot of JoJo parts. It's sometimes it feels like he thinks of stuff a bit later into the story. Well, it felt like part 2 and another part that I'm going to talk about. was thought out from the very beginning to the end. So because of this, and because of it's honestly the most comedic part, I have to put it at number 4. Amazing part. Third place is Golden Wind, the most recent anime as of the recording of this episode. Hopefully we got an announcement on April 4th. But like I said, this is recorded on the 27th and the 28th right now. But yeah, Golden Wind for me. This was a part that I binged in like a week, show-wise, and then when I went to go read the manga later, I thought the manga was a little messy looking and some of the art design. But overall, the theme of this part is what carries it to be my favorite part in the original universe. Because it's people like to take into account, like Giorno feels like he doesn't have a character sometimes, he takes a back seat, which is 100% true. And like Bruno does a lot of the carrying, same with Mista and the rest of the cast, which is 100% true. But unlike stuff like Stone Ocean where they rely only on the cast to really pump up the story elements, the setting for this is absolutely amazing. And like the Italian feel is something that Araki's even said like he wants to go back to. Like he enjoyed writing it himself. But the theme of fate and how Giorno's trying not to get pierced by an arrow at the beginning against Black Sabbath, but that by the end of the season, the part, he's trying to get stabbed by an arrow. Like there's a lot of small things where it feels like Araki knew what he wanted at the end from the beginning. The element of Diavolo using his stand to escape fate and Giorno leaning into fate, allowing fate to do what fate wants to do, made it so that he got Requiem, so it was a stand that was truly just meant to punish Diavolo for trying to escape fate. Fate gave Giorno the stand to beat him. It's an amazing story, and it tells you like how you can escape from fate. Like that's the whole theme of part 5, which does go into part 6, and part 6 goes into a little bit deeper of it, which I do like about part 6. The fact of, you know, fate is gravity. Fate is something you can't run away from. It's pulling you down. You're gonna do what you're supposed to do. There's no way around it. So as much as you want to get around it like Diavolo or even Pucci in Stone Ocean, you just cannot. So it's amazing. In my opinion though, Devil is one of the weaker villains, but the overall theme of the part that it successfully achieves in the main cast, it goes past the weak villain in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of Doppio either. I know it's very unpopular, but Diavolo, I think most people can agree, it's a pretty boring villain. I'd rather take Walmer or Cars over him. I think he's my least favorite villain besides AC/DC. But yeah, honestly, like having a weak villain is not that bad when everything else just hits on all cylinders. So yeah, this is my favorite part in the original universe. It's coming in at number 3. Coming in at number 2 is Steel Ball Run. This is the manga part that is praised for being some of the best manga to ever be written. If you look on like my anime list, I think it's number 2 or something. It's really high. You know, like it's really hyped up, and people like if you go on like the subreddit for shitpost Crusaders, I think. Like that people always talk about like, oh, I feel like it's gonna be overhyped before I read it, but when you read it, you truly get it. Like you may not get it right away, but you're gonna get it by the end. Like why this part is so loved. Instead of a big cast like we're used to, it goes back to the original of part 1 and part 2, where it's 2 main characters, right? We don't have a cast of 4 or 5 or 6. We have 2 main characters, so we get the most character development ever. And there's not many times in a story where, in any part where JoJo characters go through like a story arc, like a character arc, like, you know, they see themselves change and evolve once from the beginning of the part to the end of the part. You see that with both of Johnny and Gyro. Johnny learns to become less selfish as the part goes on, and Gyro learns how to become a true man in the true man's world, which is done amazingly in the Ringo fight. I believe it's the Ringo fight. I could be getting this wrong. Where the guy that can reverse time for 6 seconds, and he realizes what he needs to do. Like he needs to get the desire and the blood to kill. And then Funny Valentine, one of the best villains. People don't like when people say he has moral reasoning, because he's trying to put one nation above all else, which isn't the most moral, but he is trying to help his people. So he is trying, like he's coming from a good place in his mind. It's a really good villain. It's a really good story. The ending of it is amazing with the final showdown between Johnny and Valentine and the messaging there. And then there's the special ending fight that comes out of nowhere, which is definitely shocking. This is a part that you go in knowing it's going to be good from what you hear. And when you're actually in there, you know, there's like one stand fight I don't like, which is the Boom family. I'm not a fan of that one. Every other stand fight's good. But you go in there expecting a good story, and the more you read, the more you enjoy it. You keep going, well, this is good, this is good, this is good. Then the last 20 chapters, like it's breaking your heart. It's the best story ever. And you get like all the themes in one that like Golden Wind really got pushed up because it had this one amazing theme. Steel Ball Run has a few good themes that go off at the end. It's like, what was the whole point of the Steel Ball run? That's an amazing part at the end, where it's like, we did all this, and what was the point of it at the end, right? Like, we came out different people, but what did we win? What did we lose? And I love that's how Steel Ball run ends, because, you know, it's trying to mimic part 1 and part 2, and like they wanted to get a sad ending without getting like a true sad ending like part 1 where they kill off Jonathan. You get a different sad ending, where it's like, what was the point of all this, you know? And I definitely do not think it's overhyped. The monthly issues really helped Araki here, him being able to spend more time on his artwork and his story. You'll see that in my number 1, because you should know what it is. The monthly issues have really helped Araki, and it's made him create some of his best pieces yet. So yeah, number 2 is Steel Ball Run. And you should all know by now, but number 1 is JoJolion, the one part that's promised us a lion in the title, and we have not seen a lion yet, even though Araki had the best opportunity to. I think it was in chapter 98, when he drew a page with a bunch of animals. He had like a giraffe, he had like a tiger, a bunch of stuff, but he didn't draw a lion. He had the perfect opportunity, and he didn't draw a lion. People are still fuming about that. But anyway, this part, I believe, is number 1. There might be some recency bias in here, but this part is the only part to have monthly issues throughout the entirety. Steel Ball Run at the beginning was, I think, bi-weekly for a little bit for some issues, but then they went to monthly for the second half. JoJolion has had the benefit of being monthly issues the entire time, which has led to it being one of the longest parts ever. It benefits also from the most interesting JoJo main character. Well, it's not my favorite. You can't lie at saying, like, you get to, you know, the other JoJos had their personality before you'd meet them. You get to see Gappy or Josuke 2.0 get his personality with you, with the experiences you see him go through. One of the best casts, like next to Stardust Crusaders in my opinion. With I really like Joshua after the beginning parts. Like Yasuo was really good. Jobin is weirdly my favorite main villain, and I'm calling him a main villain. He's a primary villain on the fandom page. Him and the head doctor, which I'm not going to say the name of who, in case people are still reading. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite moral villains. Jobin's actually a moral villain. Like, you see his rationale, and it's more moral than Funny Valentine, I believe. Personally, like, yeah, I think people can put themselves in his shoes. But, like, this really benefits from having 3 different antagonist groups. Like, you know, like, Golden Wind had 2. It had, like, the assassin team and then the doctor's crew. Steel Ball Run basically just had everyone for themselves. This has 3 main groups. The Hishiga family is the first part, the first third of the story. And then it's the Fruit Mafia group, led by Damo. And then the final group is the hospital group, under the control of the head doctor. So you get 3 different groups, so you're never bored with what's going on. The stands are really situational stands, meaning like you gotta be in the perfect situation for the stands to work, which honestly makes it so different from every other part. And manga-wise, it has my favorite art style so far. Like, Araki's truly figured out the JoJolion art style, which is like a nice purpley pink color, very slim characters. Like, they look really good. Yasuo is probably one of the best JoBros ever out there. And honestly, the monthly issues give me something to look forward to. Like, this is the most excited I've been for a part. Like, I feel like this is, in my personal opinion, this is what part 4 wanted to be. This is, like, you can read part 4 and go, oh, this is amazing. But once you read part 8, you kind of go, part 4 is just kind of like a dollar store part 8. Like, I love part 4. Part 4 is like a 9 out of 10 for me. But part 8 is just so much better. There's nothing much more I can really say about it. It's honestly just one of my favorite parts, and I don't see that changing unless part 9 just absolutely slaps on all cylinders. I'm waiting for part 8 to get animated by 2033. That's going to be an amazing day. But yeah, with that being said, that's the end of my list. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave your list in the comments below, because no one list is better than anyone else's. I see people go, oh, my list is the best. Part 5 doesn't have a story. No, guys, none of that. Everyone has their own list, and every list is important and valuable. I don't have the same list as any of my friends. It's just how it is. Because every part has its own genre, so everyone has their own niche that they like better. I know some people who like Phantom Blood #1, actually. But yeah, that's it. So my next list is probably going to be a Fire Emblem list. I'm going to list the top 10 Fire Emblem units, the gameplay-wise. Because that has been recommended to me by my friend. He's holding me at gunpoint to make it. So I gotta make that one next. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Please do leave your list in the comment below of what your favorite part is and why, what your least favorite part is and why, just to rank them. Hope you guys enjoy your day. Take care.